Well, I have been informed that there is a debate going on, an AT-AT all-terrain armored transport versus 5 M1A2 Abrams. Now, and it's a very long debate, very long debate. As you can see, the comment chain is huge. But I'll be going over this, giving my personal opinion on this. But before I do that, I'd just like to advertise shameless self-promotion. Me and You're Wrong have been working on this doc, Empire versus Federation. It's a great source. You can just go on there. If you wanna leave a comment, if you disagree with something I say, I will put it in if you manage to convince me. Oh, someone's on there right now. Anonymous Mink. I don't know. It's okay. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over what we see from Walkers. I say AT-ATs are very strong, and I say that AT-ATs have shields, and it's pretty obvious. Now, here's my evidence for it. We see walkers take no damage from weapons sometimes, and they seem to have shield effects. Also in Star Wars Battlefront, a rebel officer states about a walker, its shields are down, the Imperial walker is vulnerable. That is an actual line. I don't know if I could get a video with a specific link to where it is, but it is a line. X-Wings have shields, and, well, they're a lot smaller than an AT-AT. And you can see, right here. And now, before you say the AT-AT shields failed in the first few shots, remember this was in an actual protracted battle, and it had been shot many times by the AT-TE, which had plot armor, so it's indestructible, and it had probably redirected its shields to the front to compensate. Also, reminder to self, I need to update my shield page. I wasn't sure if moving shields was canon, and then I remembered Han Solo, redirect all power to the, rear shields and such. I don't know if that's his exact quote, but he said something like that. So I do know that they do direct their shields, much like Star Trek ships. So it doesn't give either side an advantage. It does not give Star Wars an advantage. In this case, when it comes to special effects. But when it comes down to it, Star Wars just crushes Star Trek, the Federation, just from its firepower and shielding alone. But as you can see, there isn't anything hitting the first 6 shots, or 2 shots each, 6 shots. Don't do anything. But the next shots do. But I would also like to note that, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure, at least, that the reason they're not doing as much damage as we might expect them to do is because, well, quite simply, the shields are still partly up, as in they let a little bit through. I'm not sure if this is canon, but I'm fairly certain I'm fairly certain that there is some sort of shield bleed through effect. If your shields aren't at maximum, I'm pretty sure that in Star Wars, weapons can get through. This would provide a huge advantage. Well, not a huge advantage, not necessarily to go for the gap. It would provide somewhat of an advantage to the Federation, and it would definitely allow them to increase the losses they would inflict on the Galactic Empire. Now, make of that what you will, but as you can clearly see, there is a shield effect right here. No smoke or anything like that. And consider how much power must be going to move such a huge object. Now, I believe Michael Wong stated it would take a small car being flung at an AT-AT to move it over. Now, this isn't a real AT-AT, it's a bit smaller. I know it's called an AT-AT, but if you look at the proportions, it is smaller than an actual AT-AT. And the design of the head is different. So it's probably not as powerful as an actual AT-AT. Just that in as well. And here's a picture of an AT-AT getting bombed by TIE fighters and such, just not being destroyed, and a little minor explosion. Here's a possible shield interaction. Again, we know they have particle shields, and if this is sparks, then why is it sparking against a smooth surface? And and you can see it's getting repulsed, or else it wouldn't be, intermittent. So there's also that effect to the shields. And now we see this. Now, ooh, I really should make this bigger. Here, and I screwed it up. Okay, who cares? That's what the undo button is for. But as you can see, they're shooting it, and it does absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's perfectly fine. Now, consider this. Consider this. Here's the same shot, exact same shots, on an unshielded thing. Huge explosion. Now, this is bigger than an M1A2 Abrams explosion, I believe. I'm not certain. But considering the tower it took down, and considering actual tank rounds, I've not seen in real life, but I've seen a video by Firmus Piet in which a tank shoots at a tower, and it actually does not manage to knock the tower down. It's a huge explosion, doesn't manage to knock the tower down. For comparison, these shots do. So obviously we're looking at something far more powerful. We're looking at the ATT as something far more powerful than the M1A2, and we have good reason to believe that it might actually be shielded as well. Although at the same time, I'm not sure about that. Now, when an AT-AT fires at maximum firepower, this is what it does. Yeah, it's a huge explosion. You will not see M1A2 Abrams doing that anytime soon. But at the same time, there are 5 M1 Abrams, and we do know that the neck area is unguarded. Why it's unguarded, I have no idea. You'd think they'd be able to extend the shields, but perhaps they do have to have joints and such around there. Perhaps it's too difficult for them to do so. Shield interactions and such. So it might just, the Empire just decided, screw it, we're not going to put shields there. I mean, if this is intended as a long range, I believe its range is 17 kilometers. Michael Long calculated it as nearer to 15, but we could explain the discrepancy between the movie and his calculations by simply saying, oh, maybe the AT-ATs were on a mountain or something like that. And for evidence against that they have shields, some random guy on the internet said they didn't. That's literally the only evidence I have. They don't have shields right now. So if you have proof, I would love to hear it. But let's read the comments. Darth Vader Sith, the Imperial AT-AT will destroy those tanks. I'd love that. Well, BS, the tanks won without a doubt. See, no proof. I hate comments like this. Now, I'm not going to delete random comments, or delete comments like this. I will not do that. I'm not like that. But if you're going to comment, try to put some logic and reasoning and such behind that. It just makes it a whole lot better, easier to debate. Instead of just making a random statement. Darth Vader Sith, sure, if they play it like Hollywood and sit in front of it. But at the same time, the tanks aren't going to be dumb enough to engage it from point blank. If nothing else, they kite it, flank it, and leave it if nothing else works. If it gets the drop on them somehow, certainly. No, they won't. They are massive and slow. The tank will just need to hide until it walks by, and the AT-AT is zapped. 1 or 2 rounds to the legs and underneath it, it will destroy it. AT-AT are big, walking target practice. Now, that's not true, as I've said before. AT-AT shields do protect the legs. They aren't as good as protecting the knees. That is true. However, at the same time, if they were that weak to the knees, you would think you could see, Commander Rex. If they could really one-shot the knees, you'd think you would see Commander Rex, shooting at the knees. But instead, he shoots for the head. Make of that what you will. Now, why the knees aren't as armored? Probably the same reason that the neck isn't as armored. Joints and shield interactions. And that's probably why you don't see big folding parts on starships, other than the fact it's stupid. And Semperfi replies, well, the AT-AT is able to turn very fast. And yes, that is true. We see the AT-AT, Veer's AT-AT, I believe, shoot down a snow speeder. Very quick reflexes. Yeah, Veer's AT-AT. The tank's speed wouldn't actually matter since the AT-AT can transverse so quickly. Now, it is 5 tanks, so you can definitely expect to see the you can definitely expect to see the tanks flanking and such like that. So, will the AT-AT be able to, kill them before that? I do not know. I do not know. It depends on the situation. If it's a flat surface, the AT-AT can just pick them off, assuming they're starting at maximum range. Because I believe the maximum range of a tank... Let me just look this up. Max range of the M1. I believe it's... I believe the maximum range of the M1 is 5 miles. I'm not sure on that, so don't quote me on that, but we're going to look it up just in case. I don't want to go around making statements. Yes, I don't want to go around making statements. Max effective range of 3,500 meters. Okay, I don't know how many miles that is. Meters to mile. 3,500 meters. So 2.17 miles. That's weird. I definitely remember seeing 5 miles. Perhaps that's the maximum range, because they did mention that was the max effective range. Maximum effective range is not the same thing as a maximum range, but it still surprises me that maximum effective range is how far you can shoot accurately. Obviously, you're not going to be pinpoint precise at something that's 5 miles away. But it does surprise me that the AT-AT's range is nearly 3 times as much as the Abrams, and I don't know how long it would take the Abrams to transverse that distance, and I do believe the AT-AT would probably be able to destroy them by then. Let's see. How fast is it? I'm not going to look that up. I'm bored. Tanks would have the advantage in close quarters urban fighting. Absolutely. Say the Galactic Empire was invading Earth and decided, let's not base Delta Zero this. Let's take advantage of its minerals and resources. You would likely see AT-ATs, and tank would be able to sneak up, shoot it in the side, shoot it in the neck. Well, not on the side. Side would be useless. Shoot it in the neck. One shot it. Boom! You've got a dead AT-AT. You could probably do something similar with a rocket launcher. Not Baze's rocket launcher. That's not a good example because he shot it in the head, not the neck. But if you hit it in the neck, it's going to probably, even a rocket launcher probably could take it down. But that's not what the AT-AT is designed for. The AT-AT is designed for something long range support. That's why it's so tall, by the way. Long range support. Tanks could win. Yeah, they could. However, I agree with that. How would the AT-AT dominate in an open area when it has plasma weapons in a very low range? It is slower than an Abrams. It's going to get raped by conventional weapons. Now, considering this is a physical weapon, it's a slug with an explosive inside. It's a physical weapon by every sense of the word. And look at what it did. It's just a little white glowing part as the energy is absorbed by the shield, and it's more powerful than an M1. So as you can see, the tank could win if they hit it in a weak spot. We'll give them that, but the difficulty is getting to that weak spot. Again, it's just not going to happen unless it's an urban area. And I don't know if Eckhart Slatter was talking about what situation it is if it's a flat surface. Yes, so like we've said before, it has very long range. It's got 17 miles compared to 15 miles. Well, it's got 15 miles compared to the M1's effective range of 2.5 miles. So maximum range of 5 miles. So yes, the AT-AT is definitely going to have the advantage when it comes to this. We've seen AT-ATs take extensive damage to the front and side armor. No modern tank round would be capable of piercing it. That's true. It has a sheer firepower range over the Abrams. That's why they need to hit it in the neck to kill it. So in order to get, accurate, you need to get within 2 miles. How are they going to get within 2 miles? Very difficult. Straight from the wiki. Walker's durasteel armor was virtually impervious, blah blah blah. Command center, gunner, 360 view. AT-AT would dominate. People have a really bad habit of overselling what our technology is capable of. Yeah, it's not capable of just destroying towers like that, as Firmus Piet showed. I do want to look that up. I especially want to look that up. Firmus Piet's video. I will post a link to that if I can find it. Can't find anything on their laser cannon range. I'd assume it would be similar. Now, Michael Wong, he's calculated 15 miles. Just saying, there's no way in hell the AT-AT is hitting the tanks if they stay next to it. Yeah, but the problem is getting next to it. Oh, I'm sorry if that was a bit loud. The problem is getting next to it. And that's the thing. AT-ATs, they're not meant to be used in close quarters. Not a lot of people seem to understand this. If you do understand this, I'm not insulting you. You're a smart person. And that's why AT-ATs have smaller walkers and ground troops to take care of that, to take care of anything, medium-sized, say a terrorist with a rocket launcher, getting next to it. That's what the smaller walkers are there for. They scout, they walk around, so you don't get too close to it. And then the AT-ATs can snipe. Here's the thing, they wouldn't know about the AT-AT's weak point. And as we saw, the mass driver cannon from the ATT, which uses projectile shells and plasma to increase their speed, the armor of the AT-AT can easily tank non-energy based weapons. So the Abrams wouldn't be able to even damage the AT-AT because eventually they're going to run out of fuel and then they're going to get crushed by the Walker, who has an internal energy generator, isn't going to run low on power. That is true. AT-ATs have a range of about 16 kilometers. Yeah, oh, excuse me if I said miles. Excuse me if I said miles. When I said if I said miles when I meant kilometers, I am sorry. Because of how tall they are. So that's about range. AT-ATs have super advanced sensors. Our tanks wouldn't be able to hide at all. We see that a mass driver cannon does nothing to even the earliest version of the AT-AT. Yeah, brilliant work right there, you're wrong. Because this is the earliest version of the AT-AT. Modern, the Empire. The Empire AT-AT, which they were using at Hoth, is the perfected version well, not perfected. They still have a few kinks to work out. So no, our tanks would not do anything unless they hit the neck. And remember, they don't know where the weak spot is. Because he's taking average crew members who don't know anything about each other. And they can turn almost 180 degrees in seconds. And he doesn't remember the name, but he will say so in the next reply, so. If a couple of logs can pancake an AT-ST turret, then Imperial armor isn't all that impressive. I bet most armored cars can take force like that. Oh, I know what he's talking about. And I believe the explanation is it hit the grenade storage. And you think the grenade storage would be a bit armored, but I suppose because well, you just there's not much to explain it. Well, and besides, it's a Scout Walker, very light armor, moving around quickly, and so it got hit in the grenades, hit in the nads, and exploded. That's at least my explanation. Plus the Ewoks had plot armor. Well, and then there is the very the plot armor personified, the Force, which, as we've seen, can actually change things. Like, literally, it's not like a whisper in the back of your head. No, it literally can make a guy shooting at you miss. The best trained troops in the Imperial military forced to miss it. Forced to miss because of the Force. I like that. The Force, so I assume maybe the Force, smashed the AT-ST. So, and they're So there are a lot of explanations for this. Problem is getting next to it in the first place, and they could always just step on it, lol. That is just one of the many inconsistencies in the films that conflicts with the approved canon. Well, I don't like inconsistencies. Oh, I like this comment. Actually, Mythbusters did an episode on that. Our armored cars got destroyed too. So, I would take this as proof that ATSTs are not, do not have shield generators. They are scout walkers. They're not tanks. Which just goes to show, in our world, that would probably, the ATST would probably be considered a tank. Explosives, high, speed. But in their world, it's just a scout vehicle. And but like I was saying before, I don't like inconsistency. And I will bend over backwards to try and rationalize them out, which is, I don't like the Star Trek universe because of that. Because in one episode, they'll be like, "Oh, we can't destroy this asteroid," and it literally, I can't remember the name of the asteroid, but it literally would require only kilotons of energy to detonate to destroy that asteroid, even being as generous as possible. And then in the next, they'll be like, "Oh yeah, we can." No, I can't remember any episodes of Star Trek ships demonstrating more impressive firepower. But there are others out there. There are more impressive feats out there. And my explanation for they can't destroy that asteroid. My explanation for that is they probably had less torpedoes than they usually do. That's my rationale. And he says, I recall them saying it was a light military vehicle. And anyways, the AT-ST is a scout vehicle. The earliest models of the AT-AT has much heavier armor, which withstood multiple direct mass driver hits to the head and didn't even get a scratch. True, that AT-ST is a scout and as such would no longer have nowhere thick material armor. Well, my point is that it demonstrates the material they're using for isn't some super material. Abrams could trust AT-STs by the dozen before they got in range. That I can't argue. That I cannot argue. That I could not argue. Now, well, you got to consider AT-STs. They do have a lot of speed on their side. They have, I believe. Let me see. I love this source, by the way. It allows me to just go back anywhere. Get. So, top speeds are 60 kilometers an hour for an AT-AT, 80 to 85 for an AT-RT, so it's probably 70 to 80 kilometers an hour for an ST. So, I don't know if this is canon. I do wish you would give a source. But considering we've seen those little unarmored walkers from the Clone Wars run at like 60 miles an hour, I wouldn't doubt it. 60 to 80, somewhere in between there. So I wouldn't doubt it. Well, keep in mind, I'm just estimating the speed. I didn't actually, go through and do some extensive tests or anything like that. I wouldn't count out lighting a shot in that front window, or at least taking out the main blasters, especially on a... Okay. This is a shot on the main window. As you can clearly, it's just below the main window, but the explosion would definitely have affected it, and it dissipates over the main window, and the main window doesn't really get hurt at all. So yeah, I'm gonna say, don't know if the Abrams would hurt it. I wouldn't say trench to the AT-ST since blah blah blah. 90 kilometers per hour over flat terrain. Yes, without a doubt, a tank could pierce it easily. And with more tanks and more, the AT-ST is screwed. But one-on-one, I would say the AT-ST would win 6 out of 10 times. Well, I don't know, because I'm pretty sure the tank would be able to one-shot the AT-ST, but it does definitely depend on cover. If the AT-ST can get within range, I don't know the range of the AT-ST, by the way, I would give it to the AT-ST because of its faster firing rate. But if it's a sniping battle with no cover, I would probably give it to the tank. Considering the tank range and the AT-AT range, it would probably be quite the stomp. You're wrong. It's literally just explained. The tank range is 16 kilometers. Tank is only, well, he hasn't explained tank range yet, but I will put a comment down there saying so. Tank range is only 2.5 miles. Speaking of grenade launcher, that grenade launcher is on the side right where the log slammed into it, meaning it's possible the log caused some grenades to go off and or rockets on the launcher on the other side of the walker. About the AT-ST versus modern tank, it's really a matter of who shoots first. A Sabat round probably punched to an AT-ST's armor, or at least damage it and knock it over. However, it goes for the AT-ST's weapons. About the AT-AT versus the Abrams, you have yet to prove a round from an Abrams is even remotely near as powerful as a mass driver shot from an AT-AT. I repeat for the third time, even the earliest AT-AT models could shrug off repeated mass driver shots even to the head without breaking a sweat, as was seen in the Rebels episode's Relics of the Old Republic. When it hit the neck, there were problems, as it toppled over flaming, but I doubt the tank gunners or drivers could figure that out before it's too late. An AT-AT shoot down starships in the Clone Wars cartoon. Now, there were a lot of ATTs, and the shields weren't a factor. But still, doubt a modern tank could do that. And I do remember the episode. I believe it was... Okay, so the episode, let me paint the picture for you. The episode, there's an asteroid belt around a planet. I don't remember the episode name, I'm sorry. But there's an asteroid belt around a planet. Grievous decides to fly through, and he decides to fly through the asteroid. The asteroids bounce off. And which I feel proves my point about, well, we'll get into that later. But he orders all shields to the front. And that reminds me, I should probably put that in as proof that, yes, they do angle their shields. But anyhow, what the Jedi do is they place their ATTEs in the asteroids, and they, have them powered down and stuff. So Grievous doesn't notice them, and they shoot at his tail end, and boom, he goes down in flames. Beautiful. The AT-AT would have a range of 16 kilometers, so unless you're making a joke about the 8,000 kilometers, 8,000 kilometers, then that's wrong. No, because an AT-AT can see 360 doesn't mean its weapon can turn that fast. Most jet fighters can see from behind, but it can't shoot down anything behind it. AT-AT can't turn completely to its behind. Also, laser weapons have one distinct advantage: it can't hit anything beyond horizon, unlike projectiles. Yeah, but 16 kilometers versus... Oh, actually, I just realized I did that in miles. I am an idiot. Okay. 2 miles, 2 kilometers. Wait. Yes, 3 kilometers. So we rounded up because it was a 2.6. Actually, let me just 2.6. So yeah, it was about 5 kilometers. So I guess I was right. Well, we're pretty close. So yeah, I would definitely say, but this doesn't matter because the AT-AT still has superior range. The AT-ATs can actually turn all the way around by walking 2 legs backwards, 2 forwards. They do it quite quickly. And since the AT-AT is so tall, the horizon would be 16 kilometers away. And AT-AT did exactly that in Rebels Season 3 Inside Man. I think it's funny people argue about this. The AT-AT is a poor design for combat. Well, poor design for combat in the sense that poor design for using as a frontline vehicle. It's more of a support vehicle. It's great for transportation though. Most likely being continuously at fight by the Abrams would lead to the AT-AT having a few rounds launched. I don't believe that to be true. I believe the AT-AT would be able to, shoot back. and wipe out the tanks. The AT would know it would being outflanked, but because of its superior sensors, then it would use its longer range and far superior firepower to destroy the Abrams one by one while they are trying to flank it. Now, I don't know, do Abrams have the ability to use ECM? Because if they do, that would be interesting. Sensors versus ECM. But let's look this up. M1 A2 Abrams electronic countermeasures. Electronic warfare systems. Ship self-defense. Active protection. Well, let's see if they have jamming though. Jamming. It doesn't mention the Abrams having it. This is the name of the person who, General Peyton Abrams. So I guess they don't have it. Oh well. So the AT-AT doesn't have better sensors because the Empire goes for quantity over quality. And okay, the AT, and we have already established that plasma weapons use plasma. Oh, Star Wars weapons use plasma, not lasers. Well, I don't think it's plasma. I think it's something else. Although the Force Awakens ICS does, I think the Force Awakens ICS at least states it's plasma. I'm not sure. Let's see. Energy-rich gas is converted into a glowing particle beam. So it is not in fact plasma. What a surprise. Imagine my shock. Because plasma is a craptastic choice. And also, if you shot plasma, it would probably float, or it would be affected by gravity. AT-ATs can't find a target in the dark. Watch Rebels, they couldn't shoot at something because they couldn't see it. That is a fact. That is a fact. Okay. The AT-AT would definitely have better sensors. Also, everyone knows they use plasma. Ooh. I don't know. When they say charged, when they say particle beams, it could mean plasma, I suppose. It could, but I just don't think it's plasma because of the fact that it ignores gravity. That's really hard to rationalize. Watch Rebels they couldn't see. Yep, and most tanks can deploy smoke screens. They missed a small and quickly moving target, but they didn't never. Okay. Couldn't see an ATT in a bloody sandstorm. Even the Chin's guns have pretty pathetic stopping power. Sure, it could kill a guy and blow up a flying car, but they're pretty meh. 120mm HE has bigger explosive charge. Well, does it have a bigger explosive charge than this? I don't think so. Effective range of 4 kilometers. Still not as high as 16 kilometers. Systems to mass the vehicle in an instant. Oh, okay, I don't know what he's talking about. Oh, wait. No, I do know what he's talking about. He's talking about active camouflage, in which a tank, some tanks are covered in this special type of armor, which allows them to mask themselves to look like the thermal signatures of something else. And it's really cool because you can see this tank from thermal vision, and then it transforms itself into a car or a bush or something. That's because Star Wars is space fantasy and isn't very detailed. Shot might travel that far, but no way it could hit at the range, looking at how bad their aim generally is. They don't even seem to have targeting computers. That is not true. We know they have targeting computers. We see, you've turned off your targeting computer. That's a good quote. because Luke trusted the Force more than he trusted technology. And I don't blame him. I don't think a proton torpedo can make a 90-degree turn. That was definitely because of the Force. I don't think any targeting computer could do that. Like, the sort of G's that would sustain were absolutely ridiculous. You know, it's just ridiculous. They couldn't even see the ATT in a sandstorm. Plasma wouldn't ramp through modern tanks easily. Lol, the Abrams have depleted uranium armor. Well, would it be effective against this heat? Depleted uranium as of other things, blah blah blah. And in universe, this could be explained with technological regression. That's its next, not the whole AT-AT. What? I don't know what he's replying to. Uranium is pretty good against heat, and plasma gets weaker the further it travels, and if we're talking real physics, may not even work practically. Well, it probably isn't plasma, and on top of that, we have seen them fire. Okay, let's see. Ship range. Perfect. In Catalyst, ships engage at tens of thousands of kilometers. I love this website. You can just go anywhere, ship shield, you know, all this nice and listed out. Shameless self-promotion. Yeah, if they can actually turn, you know, blah blah blah. The AT-AT is a terrible combat design choice. Let me infer upon this. It's way too tall for practical military use. No, it needs to be tall so it can shoot at a long range. It's a support vehicle. It's terrible maneuverability. Again, it doesn't need to have great maneuverability, and it has great maneuverability for its size, because it's supposed to be shooting at things from a long distance away. Now, you don't need to turn as quickly when you're shooting at something a long distance away. And you know, well, if you don't understand how that works, because I can't explain it. Plasma is a terrible type of planetary weaponry. Again, it's not plasma. It is something else. Particle beams, glowing particle beams. Awful sense of balance. You can. What is this? Oh, never mind. It wasn't a website. Just okay. 5. You can see it a mile away. It's not even roughly camouflage. Not that important. Just pointing out the obvious. Well, it's not supposed to be camouflage. How dumb would you be to stay in the range of its weapons? Well, the thing is, you're not going to be able to move away that quickly because you're going to be it's gonna have it can move, turn quicker than you can move. The main rounds of an Abrams fires blah blah blah, more explosive. I believe it's called Panaps or something. Is it as powerful? Is it as powerful as this? Is it as powerful as this? No, it is not. The thing is prone to tripping. Oh yeah, let's see what you can do about it. This is Earth, I forgot. You know, not exactly flat, unless in plains area or city. The energy costs not only of turning but running this, but the weapon is insane because these weapons are plasmatic in nature. It would cost a Hoover Dam's worth of energy. And I don't know if you know this, but that's pretty hard to fit in one vehicle without being in the whole vehicle. Well, Star Wars, as I've discussed before, has different types of, you know, energy sources. They have hypermatter, which is, well, we don't know, but apparently it powers starships, so I would say it's pretty damn effective. You know, starships that pump out exotons. The AT-AT is like the MK5 of futuristic warfare. Not reliable. Keyword, not reliable. What? What other references there besides books, canon books, mind you, movies and games? And Star Wars doesn't have more advanced space travel, plasma weapons, or AI. Everyone in Halo... What? Uses slip space. What is this? What does this have to do with? What is this have to do? What? I'm on the tank size, but the range of them is practically equal. No, they aren't. No, they aren't. The range of the tank is, you know, like a lot smaller. And you would have to imagine that whoever is piloting the AT-AT is something confident with it, or... What? 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 I don't understand these people. Just like you have to imagine it can generate enough power. That's the whole point. It generates ridiculous amounts of power. You know, it does. I hate to repeat myself again and again, but it does. What part of it does this? Do you not understand? What part of it turns this into this? Do you not understand? It turns this into this. It has shields. It can tank that. It can tank its own shots. It can take this and turn it into little poofs of smoke. Or perhaps they were not maximum power shots. That's because he did order maximum firepower. So I believe the difference in firepower is them just charging up the shots. Nothing in Star Wars is a logical design. That's the nature of Star Wars. Star Trek, a lot of Now I swear to goodness, if this guy is trying to say that Star Trek is science, it's not. They are not science. In Star Wars, the starship engines serve one purpose: they get characters from point A to point B. That is true. You never hear, "Oh, we need more dilithium crystals to power our, hypermatrix reconverters," or anything like that. You're not going to hear that. People like the tech in Star Wars not because it makes sense, but because it looks cool. Well, Star Trek tech doesn't make sense either, but it does look cool. And Star Trek stuff looks pretty cool too, I've got to say. And that's why in versus things like this, realistically, Star Wars would never win. No. That is ridiculous. Star Wars... what he's trying to say is that other sci-fi universes have ground rules that make sense, and Star Wars doesn't. Star Wars does have some ground rules, which... No, they don't. But no sci-fi universe does. With a few exceptions. But even the ones that do, they all have, one exception, one thing that doesn't exist in real life. Element zero, The fact that the AT-AT can even support their own weight and move at that speed is testament to how superior Star Wars medals are to our own. Our tank rounds would bounce off the thing. And then he replies, that's a legend source. And it's pretty clear the AT-AT doesn't make any sense in this use. Okay, so, and I have made the video. I will be posting it soon. Thank you for watching. If you liked my video, subscribe. Check out the Empire vs. Federation doc. If you want, a ready source. And like the video, subscribe, do whatever. Thank you for watching.